This is going to be my review on Spider-Man from 2002 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi. I watched this movie the other day and I didn't realize how deep this movie actually was. And I wasn't even going to do a video review. I just wanted to watch it just to watch all the Spider-Mans before the new one. And then I saw this movie and I was quite shocked at it. Let me see. I'm kind of skipping through them. Okay, so this is so. I'm gonna try to remember. I'm gonna off the top of my head right now, and I'm gonna give an honest review. Obviously, the movie was good. It was a pretty amazing movie overall. I didn't realize how amazing it was, but yeah, it was really good. I saw a pattern of something that's going on in today's society, not just today's society, but this particular day, this particular week in the world. And I saw that strong in this movie, and I'm going to try to properly say it. But all right, I'm gonna pull out what I can about this movie. So I think the best thing to do would probably be to talk about each character one by one. Tobey Maguire. Let's see. How can I? So one thing I enjoyed the talk that Green Goblin had with Spider-Man. The two of them were their own entities, their own people. Same with Harry and Peter. They have their own dynamic. Peter, there was a lot of missed opportunities in this movie. I noticed. Peter was, I can't remember all of them. Yeah, so Peter was at the bus stop or whatever, or he was out and Mary Jane was walking and Peter was behind her, and he was like thinking in his head, okay, what do I say to her? I'll just say it in my head. And while he was rehearsing in his head how the conversation is going to go, she was just standing there, she was alone, and he was just thinking about how it was going to go. And the moment, and it wasn't too long of a moment, but her friend stopped right next to her and was like, "Hey, Mary Jane, hop in. We're gonna go do so and so." She's like, "Okay," and she leaves, and he missed his opportunity to talk to her, and he should have just talked to her. That was a missed opportunity, and sometimes we don't always get those. Sometimes when we have an opportunity, we just have to take it. We just have to talk and see what happens. In the beginning of the movie, when they were going to the spider exhibit or whatever, Peter was talking with Harry, and Harry was like, "Hey, Peter, go talk to her," and Peter was like, "I don't know what to say. You talk to her, just do it." So Harry did, and so as he did, that started something that eventually turned into a relationship. And, because Peter was shy and didn't just go for it, didn't just go and do it, he missed the opportunity again. Sometimes you don't want to miss opportunities. Just, if there's someone you want to talk to, if there's something that you want to do, sometimes you just have to go for it and just not let your thoughts take over. Thoughts will really, slow down the process, can really slow down the process and things like that. Later on, Peter said he wanted to be a photographer and he didn't really know how to do it. And this is the thing that I think will really help a lot of people that are going through a certain mental shift now in today's world. Peter said he wanted to be a photographer, and the guy, J.K. Simmons' character, he was like, "Oh, we need pictures of Spider-Man, we need better pictures," and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we need better pictures. And then so Peter, he went for it, he found the job, and he pursued what he wanted to do. And sure, he lost the job, but that only gave him more room to find a better job that was more suited for him. I believe that's how it worked out. Yes, and then Peter was saying, don't worry, I'll find my own way. Because the thing about finding your own way in life is, yes, you can be given job opportunities and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's fine. Life will sometimes help us out like that. It's fine. Um, for certain people going through certain journeys, specific journeys, they'll understand my mind. They'll understand the mindset when I say this. But in this instance, Peter was like, "Don't worry, Mr. Osborne. I'll find my own job. I'll find my own way. I'm good. I'll find my thing." The thing is, sometimes if we want a job that reflects who we truly are, we actually have to go through the trials of becoming or building a mental foundation to be able to build on what our dream actually is. And a lot of people do not understand that. A lot of people say, I want to do this with my life, I want to do that with my life. And then they're hit with all these trials. And they're just say, oh, life sucks. And it's like, no, this is what you want to do. This is who you were meant to be. This is what you were meant to become. And the thing about doing that is you have to prepare. You have to be prepared to withstand what that entails. You have to be a master at the craft of your dream. You have to experience the failure. You have to experience every aspect of it to know how to deal with it. You have to know how to build from it once the structure is broken. And you have to learn to fully embody what this thing is that you want to create for the world, for your life, and for yourself. You have to literally become that thing. Peter said he wanted to become a photographer. He wanted to get a job. He did not get a job as a photographer. J.K. Simmons said he's a freelancer, which means he gets the pictures, he does his job, and then he goes and sells them, and he gets paid for it. Now, the difference between that is Peter has basically embodied or he's become the entity of his dream, which is to be a photographer. He just does it. And he just does it on his own now. And because he just did it, he didn't need a job, a 9 to 5 job, or a contract. He did it on his own and was able to make a living off doing what he loved to do, which was just taking pictures. And I thought that was really important. That was a strong, important message that I got from this movie because I realized that if you want to do something, then you just do it. And not to get off topic, because I just want to stay on topic of the movie and what I felt from the movie. But a similar writer said this, George R. Martin, and what he said was, if you're a true writer, even for himself, a true writer is going to write because they want to write. It is not because of the sales or the money. They're not gonna, even if they never sold a book, that doesn't mean that a true writer is gonna stop writing. They're gonna keep writing even if they're not gonna get paid. But it's good to. But I say the reason why I say that because if you truly are something, then you have to learn to become that thing without the expectation of money. And Conan O'Brien even said the same thing, that he wanted to be a comedian. He didn't think comedians were going to get paid money, but he just decided to be funny, and he went out there and did what he felt he wanted to do, what he was passionate about, and eventually opportunities came his way through expressing his passion and through living from his true authentic heart. And as he did that, and that's when the opportunities came to him, and that's when he was able to live life. That's when he was able to live life through his dream and what he wanted to do. He had to embody that passion first. So that is a very important thing that you have to realize, is you have to learn to embody what it is you want to be first. And then that's when the things start to work out and come your way. And just, yeah, when you're not worried about it, then it works out just fine. But yeah, I thought that was a strong message, a powerful message when I saw Spider-Man 2002. Obviously with I can't say too much about Peter and Uncle Ben. That scene that they shared together, it was a great scene. It was good. It was emotional. I could just repeat everything that Uncle Ben said. I could just watch the clip and then just repeat it, or I could just play the clip myself, or I could just put the clip in the video, which I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah. Basically, so what Uncle Ben was saying is that there's a great change that happens in all of us, no matter what age we are, especially in today's world. And as we change, these are the times when we change into becoming the person that we're going to be for the rest of our life. And we have to be careful about who we can change into. And just because we have the ability to do something doesn't always mean, to use it. Sometimes we have to be humble in who we are. Now, we have to be careful about who we change into, because no matter what the circumstances is, Peter Parker, he was a good person. He was a good man. He was a good soul. Things like that. He was, you know, happy-go-lucky, carefree guy. And he found his power and was able to express that. Whereas you had the Green Goblin, he went through his own problems, his own mental problems. He was so busy being rich. He was so busy working. He was too busy, chasing what everyone else chases after, doing certain things and not actually dealing with life and learning how to live life and things like that. And he had his own darkness and demons inside of himself that he never dealt with. So as he grew into a new person, into a new being, the Green Goblin became the opposite of what Spider-Man became. They both went through a change that was going to define who they were for the rest of their lives, and they both came into a new power that was within themselves. They both came into a new power that now defined them. And because Osborn was unable to deal, or didn't deal with his problems, didn't deal with his emotions, didn't deal with being a bad father, didn't deal with a lot of problems or issues within himself, then as he grew into this new power, the new power basically controlled him. As for Spider-Man, he controlled his power, but he had to, Peter, once he did find this new version of himself, he was a little bit angry, he was a little bit cocky and things like that. But he had someone who loved him, which was Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben was like, hey, you know, just be careful about how you evolve. Just be careful, because, the person that you become right now is going to define who you are going to be the rest of your life. So, just be careful. And Spider-Man was in the arena, and then, he showed off his thing. And I didn't know that the announcer was Bruce Campbell. But anyway, he tried to get his money, and he let a bad guy go, because, Peter Parker was vengeful at that time, at that moment. And he let the guy go, and he let him steal the money. And he was like, hey, thanks, guy. Thank you for letting me get away. And Peter made that decision to let this bad guy get away simply because some other guy, made him upset. And Peter wanted to, get back at him. Being vengeful isn't a good thing. Isn't, just being vengeful is never a good thing. But anyway, that kind of put him in line, because, Peter, after what happened with Uncle Ben and everything, Peter was like, yeah, Peter was very cocky and he was very vengeful, and Peter was actually becoming a bad guy. He was becoming a bad person, and yeah, so he had to learn how to be humble and to find the better parts of who he was. And through what happened with Uncle Ben, Peter was able to, find his power and everything, and reconnect with his heart, reconnect with what was important, reconnect with the legacy that his Uncle Ben left for him, which was, the wisdom he left and the heart that he left. Um, Sometimes our parents or people, they will try to give us advice, tell us things, and we won't listen. We'll say, stop lecturing me, stop doing this, stop doing that. And sometimes it can be good advice. Sometimes it can be great advice that can help us become better people. We may not realize it till after they're gone. We may not realize the amazing things that our parents or someone left for us. And so after they're gone, and then all the wisdom that they've told us, it becomes a legacy. And that legacy lives on through the words that they've told us throughout their life and their experiences with us while they were still alive. And it is okay to, it's normal. It's normal for that to happen. For, when someone passes on, all that matters is the good things that they've done, the hearts that they've touched. I'm not saying it's not important now, but it should be the only thing that's really important is what good works have they done? What good seeds have they planted? And yeah, it's good to think about the good seeds that people planted within us. And sometimes when they pass away, that's all we can remember. Sometimes. And so, it's good to just keep that in our hearts and keep with us that, the good things that they have taught us is what keeps them alive within our heart. Even if they're not physically here, they are constantly a part of us through how we love them, through how they loved us, through how they've helped shaped us, and that allows them to continue to live through us. And that, in my opinion, that really helped Peter reconnect with, the good part of himself and not fall down the dark path. No matter how much good you do for people in this world, a lot of people are going to want to see you fail. A lot of people are going to want to see you fail, no matter how much good you do in the world. And Peter and the Green Goblin had that talk. They had that discussion, and Green Goblin was like, "Why do you help people?" And Peter's like, "It's the right thing." And Green Goblin was like, "They're just going to want to see you fail." That cannot be any more true, especially in today's society. Especially with, I watched Dave. Gosh, I can't believe I'm actually bringing that up. I watched something recently. It was a special. And when I watched that special, I was like, this is amazing. This is a beautiful message. This is something that people in the world need to hear. And it's something that I feel can really help the world. And all of a sudden, I see, I get floods of videos and responses about people all over the country who are saying how terrible and offensive and bad this comedy special was. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, I thought that it was an amazing special that talked about connecting with, ourselves as humans and being human, how we can treat each other better. And everyone was just tearing him down, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. Compared to all his other specials, I didn't see anything wrong with this one. I thought this was the lightest one. And the way people tore him apart, the way how this video resulted, the situation resulted in a suicide, it was like, how are you going to attack someone when, it was crazy. But just seeing that, it really put into perspective that, yeah, no matter what you do for people, no matter how much you try, Rock's video game company recently remade their old video games with newer graphics and newer styles and textures and things like that to make it look better. And everyone is trashing it. And the developers came out and said they didn't want to mess. The guys came out, programmers, whatever. They didn't want to mess with people's childhood, and they wanted everything to be exactly the way it was. The flaws, the good things, all of it exactly the same. Just with better textures, and it looks decently better. Things like that, and people were completely trashing it. And I'm like, wow, no matter what you do for people, even no matter how big, no matter how small, people are going to find some way to complain. They're going to find some way to trash you. They're going to find some way to try to destroy you, even if they do not know you personally. And that was a great. Sorry, I really hope you can't hear all that on this recording. That was a great message that the Green Goblin had for Peter. And sometimes we have to find that sense of peace within ourselves as to why we do what we do, because when we do want to help people, when we do want to help the world, it does have to be a choice as to why we do it. But the reason why we make that choice always is up to the individual themselves. It is up to us. It is up to us to make peace with why we do it for people, with why we want to make the world a better place, and just why we want to be there, why we want new help. And I enjoyed that I don't think Peter gave a response. I could be wrong, but I enjoyed that I didn't hear Peter give a response, because it is up to us as individuals to identify with that question, with why we do what we want to do for the world. And yeah, I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, because they both, in some ways, identified the same. But, even if we could have loss, even if we have, unchecked emotions, that doesn't always mean that we have to be bad. Doesn't mean we are always going to be good. When something bad or tragic happens to us, when we lose something that's precious to us, when we lose something that we care about, sometimes it builds us, it makes us, or sometimes it breaks us. Sometimes it makes us grow and become stronger. Sometimes it makes us weak to what we haven't found closure to, what we haven't made peace with within ourselves. Sometimes we let our pain control us. Sometimes we control our pain to become our strength. And I really loved that dynamic between Spider-Man and Green Goblin. I can't really say too much about Harry's character. I'm glad Aunt May lived. I guess the last thing I can say, at the very end. It can be hard to love people sometimes, especially when we love somebody and people who are around us always get hurt. Guilt can really keep us from loving that person, from accepting love from that person. It can really stop us from really fully sharing ourselves or fully sharing our heart with them. It's a lot of responsibility to have someone that you care about accept all parts of yourself. It's a lot of responsibility to tell them that. It is also a lot of responsibility as being the other person to accept every part of your partner and saying, I'm with you, I'm by your side through this. It can be a hard responsibility, But sometimes our guilt can really block us from embracing those people that we love the most and really want to have a life with. It can be a trial. It can be really difficult. Last thing I'll say is I wanted to go into Mary Jane's character. Mary Jane's character, she went through some abusive situations. It was very bad what she went through. She always had a smile. She always had something amazing within her that other people or another person always saw. People that are bad, mean, they're always going to be attracted to, women who have this precious light inside of them, who have that great smile, things like that. Something that makes them special or unique. They're going to always attack women that are like that, girls that are like that. And it's women, and it's not always intentional, it's just a thing that happens. I really loved Mary Jane's character because in this movie, she knew how to have fun with her friends. She knew how to enjoy situations as they were given to her, even though her home situation was, bad. Even though she was stuck in abuse when she was younger and in school. As she got older, as she graduated and she got her first job, she wanted to pursue her dream. And, she tried to. Sometimes dreams don't work out. But, it doesn't always stop you from trying anyway, from just going for it, you just go for it and just hope for the best. Her abusive situation with her home life and her dad crossed through into her jobs. And that happens with a lot of us. We could be mistreated at home. We could have been mistreated when we were younger, as kids, and sometimes as women. Sometimes we sometimes women can attract those same abusive situations, and sometimes they'll endure it. And you don't have to endure it. You don't have to endure that kind of abuse or pain, especially from men all the time, even though it is a familiar feeling, even though home is always going to be that, it's always going to be close to us on an intimate level. And sometimes when we've been abused at home, sometimes having abuse is the only thing that reminds us of home, or is the closest thing to home that you've had. And it does not, you don't have to identify with that pain within yourself, and you don't have to think that, hey, I'm being abused and this is where I belong, or sometimes cry about it, be sad about it, but at the same time not know what else life has to offer, not know what else your heart could feel that could be a good, beautiful feeling. Um, Mary Jane, she jumped from relationship to relationship in the movie and always had someone they didn't really appreciate her. She had to go through her own inner journey as a woman, and eventually she found the strength to say, "Hey, I want to embrace my heart, and I want to embrace happiness, what makes me happy, what makes me feel good," and to let go of that abusive past, and she was able to recognize, oh, hey, there's something good here, and this good thing I could never see before because I was going through so much pain that I couldn't see how amazing this thing was that was right in front of me. Sometimes we just got to let go of that familiarness that hurts us, that hurts you. Just got to let go of it and think about what actually makes you happy. Think about your heart, about what makes you feel good. It makes you feel more embodied in yourself, more embodied in your power, more embodied in who you are and who you want to be, who you want to grow into. And just think about the people around you who can help you, who do help you be in that space, that heart space, that good heart space that you want to live in and you want to be in. And just appreciate it and enjoy it. And it can be hard, when things don't always work out, but just know there's nothing wrong with you. And love is very difficult. And everyone on this planet, we're all learning how to properly love each other and ourselves. But just know authentically, trust that intuition that you have of who's in your circle and who is good to you and who makes you feel good authentically, to where you can freely open up and say, hey, this person is great, and enjoy them. Yeah, but that's my review for Spider-Man. It was a great movie, and I wanted this to be 10 minutes. And anyway, yeah, hopefully this helps somebody if they are willing to sit here for the whole review, whole 30 minutes. Do the best you can with what you got. And just know that you don't have to be stuck in that same abusive situation. Just because you're not in a bad situation anymore, does not mean that you are not still living in that situation every single day of your life. And you will continue to live in that situation every day of your life inside until you learn to let it go and fully embrace the better parts of yourself, the better parts that the people around you remind you that you have, and you invest into those better parts that people see in you, the potential that people can see in you. And as people see that potential, they can be there to help you grow into it. Sometimes we may not see it, but these people are there. They're there somewhere. And once you have freedom inside of yourself, then you will have the freedom to see these great things that these people teach you. Do the best with what you can, and have a great day.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle Ben.
Oh, wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk.
Well, we can talk later.
Well, we can talk now, if you let me.
What do we have to talk about? Why now?
Because we haven't talked at all for so long. Your Aunt May and I don't even know who you are anymore. You shirk your chores. You have all those weird experiments in your room. You start fights at school.
I didn't start that fight. I told you that.
Yeah, well, you sure as hell finished it.
What was I supposed to do? Run away?
No, you're not supposed to run away. But Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Are you afraid that I'm gonna turn into some kind of criminal? Quit worrying about me, okay? Something's different. I'll figure it out. Stop lecturing me, please.
I don't mean to lecture and I don't mean to preach. And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Right. I'll pick you up here at 10.